Hey, what's up guys? Grimsy42 here, and I've got a couple different pickups, and the first one was actually kind of a surprise to me, and the second one was definitely a surprise, but in different, I guess, manners, if it makes any sense. Anyways, for the first pickup, I live in Buffalo, New York, so it's a colder area, and unfortunately we only get like maybe 4 or 5 months of garage selling, and it's usually kind of like May to maybe September. And it may go a little bit either way, but, you know, sellers are usually paranoid to have a sale just because the temperature is so cold. I mean, like, literally a week ago we had snow. It's, like, that bad. Anyways, the weather was good this weekend, and I was actually on my way to a friend's house, and he lives in kind of, you know, like a suburban neighborhood, and those neighborhoods are notorious for all those one-way, dead-end streets, and, I was approaching him from, or his house from a place I wasn't familiar with, so the GPS was navigating me and taking me to, like, dead ends and stuff. But anyways, I was driving past a house, and I noticed that they had all kinds of stuff, like their garage was open, and there was all kinds of stuff, you know, out in front of their house. So I assumed garage sale, so I, you know, did a U-turn and came back and walked over, and guy kind of looked confused, and as I got closer, I figured out what was really going on. He was doing spring cleaning. But I said, I'm sorry, you know, I thought you were doing a garage sale. And he goes, oh, well, if you're interested in anything. And I said, well, do you have any video games? And he says, yeah, in the basement I do. So I got excited, and he ran into the basement. And basically he came out with all of this. So the first thing is an old PlayStation. And if you notice, if you can see, get these stupid wires out of the way, this is the first model. It's got the AV cable outs right there. So whenever you see that instead of a single port, that's your indication that it's the first model of PlayStation. And then it also came with the power cord and a first-party RF. Unfortunately, no controller, but honestly, those are pretty much worthless and dime a dozen anyway. And it also did come with a stack of games. Nothing really impressive, but what stood out to me is all the cases are in really good shape. So if anything, I can just use these to upgrade, you know, some more obscure games that I might run into. The first one is Colin Mcrae Rally 2.0. Next is Mobile One Rally Championship. I think there was a trend. I think he liked racing games. Next is a disc only of Jet Moto. After that, we got Rage Racer. Ford Racing. This one was decent in its time. It's a bit dated now, but Spider-Man. The first Tomb Raider, Greatest Hits, sadly. The second Tomb Raider. NHL 2001, which features the San Jose Sharks, which happens to be the team I like, so go Sharks. Next is Battle Arena Toshinden, and this one is a not for resale. It's just that little white strip on there. I remember this was actually a long box game at one point, so this is probably the second release of this case. And last but not least is a dual disc case, and it's Star Wars Rebel Assault 2. It's kind of like a CG-based game. It's pretty much all cutscenes and stuff like that. There's not much in the lines of like actual playing of the game, but it's pretty decent. And then just another pile here. This one is a PS1 game, Spec Ops. I guess it came from Blockbuster. Yeah, Blockbuster. Next is MX Unleashed. No manual with that. ATV Off-Road Fury Complete. These last two are in really good shape, but they're not really that good at games. But still, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. And lastly, Call of Duty 2 Big Red One. And those were also complete. So I wound up picking up all that for $10. I don't know if, you know, necessarily it was like the best deal in the world. I mean, definitely it was cheap. I've been trying to stop just picking up games just for the sake of it. But, you know, I could always trade some of this away, and, you know, just to kind of get a glimpse of the garage sale season really had me excited. But anyways, all of that kind of frails in comparison to what I'm going to show you guys next. So, when I got to my buddy's house, we were initially going to go to this, like, video game convention of sorts in my area called LilCon, with that L-I-L, like Lil Jon, all that nonsense, which I don't really care for that type of speak, but to each their own. Anyways, I stopped there before I met up with him just to kind of scope it out, and it was, not to be mean, but it was a joke. There were two vendors selling games, and pretty much everything they were selling was like junk. One of the vendors was the guy Michael something or other. He's from I'll put his name down here if I find it, but he's from Buffalo, New York, just like me, and he's actually the Guinness Book of Record holder for having the largest video game collection. And a lot of people are actually questioning that because they have larger collections themselves. I guess there's like a process involved in being like the record holder, and you gotta like pay money, and that's probably why not many people have challenged him. Not to mention, I don't think people want the press of saying, hey, I've got, you know, 20,000 games, here's my address, come steal from me, you know, so I can understand that. But the guy came off as a douche. I was wearing my gaming historian shirt, if you guys are familiar with Norm the gaming historian, and he kind of instantly was like, I'm the gaming historian, that should be my shirt. And, you know, I was like, no, you know, I was like, gaming historian's got like 50,000 subs, and he's like, well, I have more games and I'm the king of the world. Like, he was just acting really douchey, and you know, he really rubbed me the wrong way. And I kind of took off from that place. It was really, like I said, it was kind of a joke. So my buddy and I were trying to figure out what we could do, you know, because we had plans to hang out that day. So I said, why don't we go to the flea market? You know, it had been a while since he'd gone, and because of the nice weather, there would be outside vendors. Our flea market has like a large or very large inside and then an outside, only when the weather's nice. So the first thing I noticed while I was perusing the wares out there was this. It's a little banged up. It's the limited edition to Record of Agrest War II, and I'll show you guys what's inside. It is missing one thing. I guess there was a hand towel. It doesn't have that, but it's got like an inflatable little, I guess, character of this game, and then it's got the art book. And last but not least, it has the actual game, and I believe, yeah, the game is complete. I have the non-collector's edition of this, so I'm going to compare to see if it's any different from, you know, like the case and artwork and all that. If not, I'll probably part away with it, because I really don't need, you know, 2 copies of the same game or whatever. But anyways, I thought this was pretty cool, and I asked him how much they wanted for it, and he said 10 bucks, because he didn't have a price on it. So I thought, you know, for 10 bucks, that was a pretty good steal. But what I found next actually totally blew me away, and when you guys see these, I think you're going to have the same opinion. So whenever I'm out hunting, I've got severe ADD, and I find myself, you know, constantly, you know, like scanning in every possible direction, just trying to process all the thoughts, you know, and that usually helps me out because I can spot games relatively easily. And I'm looking around, and I actually spotted a sneaker box, and like you can only see like a little bit of it, and in the top corner I saw kind of like, you know, like a piece of a Super Nintendo cartridge. So I beelined over there, and it was kind of behind vendor tables, and it was like right where the vendors were sitting. And I looked in the box, and there were some solid titles in there, and I was like, you know, hey, how much are the games? And I had full intention, if the price is anything reasonable, of buying this entire box. It wasn't sports titles. It looked like it was just like one person's collection, because there were definitely some notable games in there. And the vendor, who was probably like 50, said, oh, no, these are for my son, and he's got to look through them before anything. And, you know, obviously I didn't want to take that chance because there were some good games in there. And normally I would throw, you know, a lower offer since it's a, you know, a flea market, but I knew I had to strike if I wanted to get them. So I picked up 4 games that interested me, and I said, you know, would you take 50 for these 4? Now, understanding that I would have paid $50 for 4 games, obviously they're of some substantial quality. So he kind of looked like he was interested, but he still hemmed and hawed. And I checked my wallet, and I actually had 320s. So I said, well, 60 do it, and I showed him the money. Now, that's one thing if you're ever having, like a tip, I guess, if you're ever having issue sealing a deal, showing the money, especially if you're in a place where you feel like, you know, you're not going to get jumped or whatever, is a really good way to seal a deal. A lot of times, seeing is believing, and when a seller sees the cash in your hand and your desire to spend it, they'll be more willing to make the deal. So he went from, you know, oh, my son, I care so much about him and what he wants, to here's your games, have a nice day. So I instantly took the 4 games, and my buddy and I got out of there just in case the son showed up, or, you know, he had a change of heart or whatever. I knew that I had gotten a great deal. The first game I don't actually have to show you because I gave it to my friend who I was with, just because I knew it had been on his list of games that he wanted, and I already had it, so I really had no issue. I basically just gave it to him for free. The next 3 titles, one of them is going into my collection, and the other 2 I have already found a home for, unfortunately, for people who may be interested, but they're amazing titles. The first one is the one I'm keeping, and it's Zombies Ate My Neighbor, and it's got a real clean label, so I was definitely happy to get that. This next one I was hopeful would be an upgrade, but unfortunately the label's got a little bit of scratching on it, and mine was in pretty good shape, so it's unfortunately not going to be an upgrade. It's Ninja Warriors by Taito. It's a really fun game. If you guys can find it cheap, I definitely recommend it. And this last one is the cream of the crop, and apparently I've got a lot of luck finding this game. Last year I found a complete copy of it, and this year I guess I did just as well. I found it again, and it's Demon's Crest. So when I picked this game up, I knew, you know, not to sound stupid like Billy, but I knew I had to have it, and I would have pretty much done anything at that point to close that deal. Thankfully the guy went at 60, that's 15 a piece. Demon's Crest is going for about 120 on eBay right now. Ninja Warriors is about 75, and I think Zombies Ate My Neighbors is maybe 50. The only reason I don't know that price offhand is if it's going into the collection, I'm not concerned with what its value is because, you know, obviously I'm just keeping it. I don't plan on ever reselling it. One thing that I do pride myself on as a collector is if I come across a title and I don't have it, I don't care how valuable it is, it goes into the collection. I will not sell it. Which gets very awkward at times because sometimes my double pile is very pathetic and people have very good games and they're like, oh, well, trade me this or this, you know, and I really, really don't like to part with games from my personal collection just to, you know, kind of take a step back. It really doesn't help me, you know, and I've learned to be patient, I guess, and you know, whatever deal I would have got will come around again. But anyways, guys, I hope that was pretty impressive. I was super happy about it. I would say, you know, the first, like, big pickup of the good weather is probably, you know, runner-up for or contender for pickup of the year. So I was definitely happy to grab those 3 games. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if so, and until next time, take care.